Oh hey, good day, I'm myriadman, eh? So, this is a 2020 Volvo S60 T8 Polestar engineered, and it is the perfect car for bad guys, and I decided to dress like one because, well, why not? Also, to be honest, I don't really like this body style as it's less practical than its V60 counterpart, but is it any good? Let's find out. Most Canadians would call this body style a sedan, but in the same way how I call the V60 an estate car and not a wagon, I'm calling the S60 a saloon because A, you gotta have a posh name for a posh car, B, I'm weird, and C, it's way more fun to say than sedan. Saloon. 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 Here's the thing, Volvo cars have an understated yet classy design. I'd say even classy enough for James Bond, a point I made pretty damn clear in my last review. But because of the family theme that estate cars in general just cannot seem to escape, they might feel a little too light-hearted and friendly for some. Estate cars love company, whether it be family, friends, or dogs, the more the merrier. Saloons, on the other hand, not so much. They hate people and dogs, especially this one. This body style has always been more of a social status thing than anything else. Plus, the uncomfortable and claustrophobic rear seats are perfect for subtly tormenting enemies like your in-laws. One day you'll have to pick them up from the airport with your significant other, and normally you would hate doing so, but this time you got the S60 and you have an evil plan. You're gonna meet them at the gate and you'll say things like, "Oh hey, nice to see you guys again," but not really because they suck. You'll help take their luggage to the car because you're not that evil, and when they see your brand new S60, they'll be all like, "Oh wow, nice car," but like more in a "oh crap, this kid's doing well for himself" kind of tone. Once everyone is sitting in the car ready to go, your father-in-law sitting behind you will ask you to move your seat forward, and you will, but only by 2 centimeters rather than his desired 200. He'll soon try asking again, but not before somewhat drowning him out by playing deadmau5, who he doesn't mind but would much rather listen to ABBA instead. You paid for the parking ticket and left the lot but not the airport, which means you have speed bumps ahead. You look at your significant other who knows what's up because instead of approaching the bumps at the recommended 30 kilometers an hour, you go 34. And then you do, twice, and because you and your significant other braced and not your in-laws, you heard a few oofs coming from the back because that low sloping roof means they both grazed their head on the ceiling, which noticeably messed up their hair. You look in the rearview mirror and they both look visibly disgruntled, and then you subtly smile all the way back home because they have no idea that it was you who screwed up their hair and made them suffer. And that is why this car is perfect for villains. Also, that all black body paint makes the car look quite menacing too. Like I said before, it's not as practical as the V60, and it's because the S60 has less trunk space, less headroom, and worse visibility. However, on the plus side, since it doesn't have that extra hump at the back, it is a few kilograms lighter, which makes it 0.1 of a second quicker to 100 and a few grand cheaper. But does it look cheaper than the V60 Polestar? No, of course not. I just couldn't think of a better segue. Anyway, so at the front, they both have the exact same face, Thor's hammer inspired headlights and all. But once we start getting a peek at the back, you'll notice how much more subtle the saloon is compared to the estate. In fact, the V60 has a much larger presence than the S60, despite both being the exact same length. And it's not only because of that extra bit at the back. The V60 has these pretty cool tall vertical taillights, whereas the S60 has these interesting ebb lights, and I say that because it looks like an E and a B. Maybe the designers are trying to say something, who knows. And just a fun little thing, for context, most premium brands have fancy names for their lighting technology, like Mercedes Multibeam or Audi Matrix. Volvo, on the other hand, calls their lighting tech Full LED Active High Beam System, space colon, or FLOBs for short. FLOBs. The name is so ridiculous, I freaking love it. Now, from a more practical standpoint, here's what you need to know. Starting at the front, it's no different than the V60, so I'll try not to repeat myself. If you want to check out my V60 Polestar review, link in the description. So here are some things I haven't mentioned yet. The touchscreen infotainment system uses infrared sensors, meaning you can use it with your gloves off or on. The design theme is set to dark mode on default, but if you want to burn your eyes, you can change it to light mode, though of course I wouldn't recommend it. Also, because the design of this system was inspired by Android smartphones, it has a few similar functions like moving icons and apps to wherever you damn well please. At the back, you can fit some camera gear, a body, and not much else. A little disappointing considering how much stuff you can fit in the V60. At the middle, here's where it gets even more sucky. I'm 196 centimeters and I just cannot fit behind myself. In the V60, I can, but in here, nuh-uh. at least not comfortably, and it gets much worse in the center because of that battery pack in the middle and that bump in the ceiling from the sunroof. But on the plus side, the back seats do feel nice and it is fairly easy to access your things in the trunk from the cabin, just not as easy as the V60. Now, before we talk about the driving experience, have a quick listen to that exhaust. Driving the S60 Polestar is almost no different to its estate counterpart, as both cars are supercharged, turbocharged, and electrically charged with 310 kilowatts of power combined and 670 newton meters of torque combined. Because the S60 is 29 kilograms lighter, it's not only quicker on paper, but it does feel like it too. And the smaller cabin makes the car feel smaller, which enhances that feeling just a tad bit more. Other than that, the V60 and S60 pretty much feel the same, and they are considerably fun to drive. But here are a few more cool and odd things I've noticed that apply to both. If for some reason you don't like the default design of the digital driver display, you have 3 other options to choose from, and they're called minimalistic, chrome rings, and performance, which not only turns the rings red, it also italicizes the numbers in the speedometer and the words hybrid and ready, which means you're not just ready, you're ready. But what you might not be ready for is the brakes, as they're both good and bad. The Brembos do an incredibly good job, and the only way you'll be able to stop any faster is by hitting a tree. But you have to remember that the car is a plug-in hybrid, and in this case it means you'll get the softer regenerative brakes for about the first halfway down, and then for the last half you'll get the much stronger Brembos, which can be a little startling and sometimes unpredictable. And what's just as unpredictable is the gasometer, which in this case I'm referring to the petrol range, as it can vary wildly from 350 kilometers on a full tank all the way to 600, and even one time I saw 700, not including electric, meaning if what the car says is true, the S60 will give you a total maximum range of 750 kilometers. But overall, the S60 and V60 are great handling and fun to drive cars. So how much is it? Well, the V60 Polestar starts at 82,300 Canadian pesos. This starts at 80,800, and the car you see here, 82,850. Thing is, its closest competitor, a BMW M3, starts at 77,550. And not only is it a little quicker and more powerful, it's a lot louder in terms of sound, styling, and social status. So let's get to the final rating. Will I give it a yeah man, sorta man, or no man? I'll give it a yeah man. Its estate counterpart may be better overall, but if you want a proper sleeper with a hint of evil and just adore this body style, go for the saloon. For more of my thoughts and details on this car, click the read more link in the description. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching and have a good morning, evening, and night.